They put Al Capone on the cover of Time magazine. They made movies about Pablo Escobar, John Gotti, El Chapo. Legends who flashed guns, stacked bodies, and died in cages or coffins. But the real monsters, the ones who never spent a day in prison, who walked away richer than kings, who vanished with money, the secrets, and the power, they scrubbed those names from the history books on purpose, because some empires aren't built with bullets. They're built with bank accounts, passports, and deals signed in the dark. These are the 5 untouchables the system lost. The ghost who beat the FBI, the DEA, the CIA, and every government that ever swore they bring them down. 5 kingpins, 0 prison cells, billions vanished, and stories so dangerous the headlines were ordered to forget them. This is the list they never wanted you to see, starting with the accountant who bankrolled the entire American Mafia from a calculator, and ending with the man who right now in 2025 still owns half the politicians you vote for. Turn the lights off, lock the comments, and don't blink. These are the 5 who got away. Number 1, Meyer Lansky, the Invisible Godfather. They say that most dangerous man in the Mafia was never photographed with a gun. Meyer Lansky, 5'4", soft voice, accountant glasses, and the brain that built the global Mafia financial empire from nothing. While Capone was shooting up Chicago, Lansky was already laundering money through secret Swiss bank accounts in 1932, decades before anyone else even understood offshore banking. The FBI says he personally stashed away $300 million, almost $1 billion in today's money. And when he died, his official estate was $57,000. They never found the rest. His own family said the real money was hidden with his brother in Israel. Cuba, that was his playground. One handshake with dictator Fulgencio Batista in 1944, and Lansky became the unofficial gambling czar of the entire island. He built the $14 million Riviera Hotel, the most expensive in the world at the time. And every casino in Havana kicked back millions straight to the American Mafia. On New Year's Eve 1958, Fidel Castro marched in, smashed the slots machines, and set the casinos on fire. Lansky watched 7 million vanish in one night and never got a cent back. Las Vegas, Lansky wrote the blueprint. He gave his childhood friend Bugsy Siegel the money to build the Flamingo in 1946. When Bugsy stole from the construction budget, the mob voted to kill him. Lansky flew to Havana and begged for Bugsy's life in a hotel room full of bosses. 9 days later, Bugsy was dead on a couch in Beverly Hills. Lansky just quietly took over the Flamingo and ran Vegas from the shadows for the next 25 years, never once putting his name on a single gaming license. He even worked with the United States government. World War II Operation Underworld. Lansky and the Navy made a deal. The Mafia would protect the New York docks from Nazi spies, and in return, the government sprang Lucky Luciano out of prison early. 1970. The feds finally come for him. Tax evasions, skimming, the works. Lansky grabs 2 suitcases and $50 million in untouchable, traceable cash and runs to Israel, claiming the law of return. Israel holds him for 2 years, then deports him back to America. The cake collapses. Witnesses forget. Evidence disappears. He beat cancer, died peacefully in Miami Beach in 1983 at the age of 80. A completely free man. The FBI had 50 years of files on him and never put him in prison for one single day on a serious charge. That's why they erased him from the history books. Al Capone went to Alcatraz. John Gotti did life. Meyer Lansky, he died on a beach. Richer than God, untouchable. The man who never ruled the streets, ruled the entire world from a calculator. Meyer Lansky, the Invisible Godfather, number 1. Number 2, Frank Matthews, the Black Caesar who outran the Fed. Before Pablo Escobar flooded Miami with coke, before Frank Lucas smuggled heroin in coffins, there was Frank Matthews, the original Black Caesar, America's first super black kingpin who built a drug empire bigger than the Italian Mafia, and then vanished with $20 million in cash like a ghost. No body, no arrest, no trace. The government buried his name because his escape exposed their biggest failure ever, a fugitive who humiliated the FBI, the DEA, and IRS all at once. Born February 13, 1944 in Durham, North Carolina, dirt poor, chicken-stealing kid from the farms. By 14, he's leading a teenage gang, bashing a farmer with a brick for catching him mid-heist. Locked up in reform school for a year, gets out, hits Philadelphia at 16 as a numbers runner, betting slips for the underground lottery. Sharp as hell, he's making connections with the Black Mafia, guys like Major Coxon. But by 1965, at just 21, Frank's bore a penis. He wants the big leagues, heroin and cocaine. Back then, the Italian mob, the Genovese Gambino families, owned the game through the French connection, piping dope from Turkey to Marseille to New York. Frank knocks on their door. Let me in, I'll move your product. They laughed him off. No blacks in our business. So what does Frank do? He flips the script, cuts them out completely, links up with a Cuban smuggler named Spanish Raymond Marquez in Caracas, Venezuela, and Roland Gonzalez in Hart. Boom, direct pipeline from South America and France, no middleman. By 1968, he's flying stewardesses, pay $1,000 in cash a month, with heroin stuffed in their purses, dropping it in airport lockers for his crew to grab. His network, 21 states, coast to coast, Pittsburgh to Philly, Detroit to DC, even down to the Carolinas, mostly blacks and Latino dealers. No loyalty to the old white bosses. He's grossing $20 million a year by 1971. That's $150 million today, all cash, no banks. Buys a mansion in Staten Island, Todd Hill, the ritziest spot in New York, right across from Master Paul Castellano. Throws parties with Cadillacs, diamonds, fur coats for his girl Denise. But Frank Smart, he hosts secret summits. 1971 in Atlanta, 1972 in Vegas. Black and brown dealers plotting to smash the Mafia's grip. The feds catch wind and start tailing him. Too late. January 1973, Frank and his 15-year-old girlfriend are fresh off a Vegas holiday, suitcase stuffed with cash for laundering at the casinos, 15% fee to wash it clean, feds pounce at the airport, tax evasion, conspiracy to distribute heroin and coke. They slap him with a life in prison. Bail, first $5 million, highest ever, but a soft judge drops it to $325,000. Frank posts it the same day, walks out grinning. June 26, 1973, he's due in Brooklyn federal court, doesn't show up, vanishes with $20 million in unmarked bills, his teen bride in a private plane, who knows where. The manhunt, massive. FBI, DEA, IRS, helicopters, wiretaps, snitches everywhere. They raid his spots, freeze accounts, grill his crew, nothing. Rumors fly, he's in Venezuela with Marquez, sipping rum on a beach. Or the mob whacked him for the disrespect. Black Mafia double-crossed. Some say he's buried in a Jersey landfill. But no body, no fingerprints. In 1977, a guy named Mark IV Fisher gets busted in Vegas with Frank's style. Same scars, same voice, but the feds can't prove it. He walks. To this day, the DEA keeps his file open. Most wanted fugitive, 20 million gone, equivalent to 150 million now. Pablo Escobar got caught. El Chapo extradited. Frank Matthews, he beat the system at 29 and stayed free. The government erased him from the headlines because admitting failure on that scale, it'll make every kingpin think they could pull it off. Black Caesar didn't just run drugs. He ran circles around the law, and he's still out there laughing. Number 2, Frank Matthews, the kingpin America lost forever. Number 3, Khun Sa, the Opium Emperor of Myanmar. Before the Taliban grew poppies in Afghanistan, before Colombian cartels flooded the streets with coke, there was Khun Sa, the Opium Emperor, a warlord who carved out his own kingdom in the misty hills of the Golden Triangle, built a private army of 20,000 soldiers, and pumped half the world's heroin straight into American veins during the Vietnam War. The U.S. branded him the most dangerous man alive, the Prince of Death. But when he retired, the same government that hunted him handed him a mansion, amnesty, and a quiet sunset. No trial, no extradition, just a fat payday and a government escort. They erased him because his story exposes the hypocrisy. The CIA armed him, the Thai military shielded him, and the Burmese let him walk, all while American GIs got hooked on his China white. Born Chang Chi Fu in 1934 on the Burmese border, half Shan, half Chinese. Dirt poor kid dodging Japanese bombs in World War II. By 16, he's running opium from the Kuomintang, Chinese nationalists chased out by Mao, hiding in the Shan Hills, turning poppy fields into their cash cow. The U.S. backed them against communism. Looks the other way on the dope? Khun Sa, he's their mule boy, hauling raw opium across Laos and Thailand. But by the 1950s, he's done paying second fiddle, forms his own militia, the Ka Yi Ye. Burmese government sanctioned thugs meant to fight rebels. In return, free rein to tax the poppy trade. He buys black markets, AKs, sets up refineries. And by 1967, he's sparking the Opium War, ambushing a 16-ton KMT convoy in Laos, stealing the load and declaring himself king of the border. The Latvians bomb him back, but he bounces stronger, meaner, with a pipeline direct to the U.S. troops. Vietnam War, that's his golden era, 1960 to 1975. American soldiers in Saigon and Da Nang are shooting up China white, 90% pure heroin, the best on the streets. According to the DEA, Khun Sa's refineries cranked it out from Shan state poppies, smuggled via Thailand and Laos. He's supplying 40% of the heroin hitting New York by the 1980s, up from 5% 2 decades earlier. GIs smuggling it home in body bags. That's his network. Profits, hundreds of millions a year, funding his army and Shan independence, or so he claims. He's got Thai generals on payroll, Burmese officers turning blind eyes, Even CIA whispers through Operation Underworld-style deals. In 1973, he kidnaps 2 Russian doctors and a U.S. professor in Burma. Not for ransom, but leverage. The feds negotiate through Thailand. He walks free from a 5-year treason rap in exchange for the hostages. Coincidence? Or just another government wink? By 1985, he merges with the Shang United Army, rebrands as the Hmong Thai Army, 30,000 strong, controlling the entire Thai-Burma border from Mao Hung Song to Mai Sai. He's negotiating with everyone, offers Australia his entire crop for $50 million a year in 1988. Buy it for medicine and the street trade overnight. They say no. Writes the UA Department of Justice in 1989, pay me $20 million annually. I'll shut down the labs. Washington? Crickets. Instead, a New York court indicts him for plotting to import 1,000 tons of heroin, the biggest racketeering charge ever. Bounty on his head, $2 million. Well, he's untouchable. Thai army uses him as a buffer against communists. Burmese let him run free for the kickbacks. Even James Bo Grits, Vietnam vet turned POW hunter, visits his compound, cuts deals. Khun Sa brags to reporters. The drug-crazed West needs that while I grow. Arrest me, and 10 more will rise up. Peak power hits in the 1990s, controls 80% of Burma's opium, 50-70% of global heroin. But cracks forms, rivals like the United War State Army encroach. Burmese strongman Tai Tui wants Highlands locked down. 1996, Khun Sa flips the script one last time, surrenders to Rangoon. No shots fired, disband his army, hands over the labs. In return, full protection, no extradition to the U.S. They integrate his men into the military, let him pocket the profits. Rumored ruby mines, real estate, construction fronts. He moves to a Yangon mansion with 4 young Shan wives, sips tea, and plays the elder statesman. I'm just a businessman now, he quips. Dies peacefully October 26, 2007 at 73. Diabetes, heart issues, no jail cell, no bullets, just a quiet grave in G-Way Cemetery, facing a sealed U.S. indictment. The EEA called him the single biggest threat to America since Al Capone. Yet the government that chased him, they bought his retirement with silence. Why? Because locking him up would spill the beans on who else profited from the Golden Triangle. From Langley to Bangkok, Khun Sa didn't just rule the poppy fields, he ruled the shadows where spies and soldiers did the dirty deals. Number 3, Khun Sa, the warlord who turned heroin into an empire and governments into his bodyguards. Number 4, Griselda Blanco, the Cocaine Godmother. Pablo Escobar got the Netflix show, but the woman who taught him how to be a monster, they tried to bury her name. Griselda Blanco, La Madrina, the Black Widow, the only person in history who made Pablo Escobar look polite. Long before Medellin, long before Cali, there was a teenage girl from the slums of Colombia who invented the modern cocaine cartel, flooded Miami with mountains of white, and started a war that left 600 bodies in the street in one summer alone. The government hushed her story because she proved on live television every night in the 70s and 80s that the U.S. border was wide open and nobody could stop her. Born 1943 in Cartagena, Colombia, so poor that at 11 she's already kidnapping rich kids for ransom, and when the family won't pay, putting a bullet in the boy's head herself. By 14, she's a prostitute, a pickpocket, and a killer. Marries a small-time smuggler, has 3 kids, then allegedly kills him when he gets in her way. Moves to Medellin, links up with the Ochoa brothers and a young Pablo Escobar. But Griselda doesn't want to be a partner. She wants to be the queen. 1975, she lands in Queens, New York with 300 kilos hidden in women's girdles and false bottom bras. Custom weighs her through. She invents the Coke Mule model that every cartel still uses today. Business explodes. She moves to Miami and turns South Florida into her personal slaughterhouse. Her trademark, motorcycle hitman. 2 guys on a bike, 1 driving, 1 shooting, Mac 10s with silencers. They roll up at red lights and empty the clip. They disappear into traffic. She called them her motorcyclists. Miami morgues were stacking bodies so fast they had to rent refrigerator trucks. 1980, 1982 alone. Over 200 murders died tied directly to her crew. She even killed at kids' birthday parties if someone disrespected her. One rival dealer refused to pay tax. She had him shot in front of his wife and children in a shopping mall parking lot. Another guy looked at her wrong in a club, ordered his tongue cut out while he was still alive. She pioneered the routes. Private planes landing on Florida back roads. Speedboats unloading on Biscayne Bay at 3 a.m. Submarines years before Escobar ever thought of it. Her trademark brand, a candle with Pablo Escobar's face on it. She sold the coke inside the wax. At her peak, she was moving 3,400 pounds a month, 80 million a month in pure profit. Bought mansions, bulletproof limos, gold-plated AKs, and a solid gold telephone shaped like a pistol. The feds called her the Cocaine Cowboy War. Miami became the murder capital of America. Shootouts at the Dayland Mall in broad daylight. Bodies in the trunk of burning cars on I-95. DEA agents quit in fear. Wrong prosecutors said, "We weren't fighting a cartel. We were fighting a one-woman apocalypse." 1985 finally busted her in California mansion after a 3-year stint called Operation Banshee. They found her in bed with a 23-year-old lover, a loaded Uzi under the pillow, and $2 million in cash in the closet. Federal trial in New York, she's sentenced to 15 years, but even from prison, she keeps ordering hits. One of her enforcers walks into a butcher shop in Colombia and guns down a family of 9, including 2 little kids, just to send a message. 1998, released early on technicality, deported back to Medellin. September 3, 2012, age 69, standing outside a butcher shop buying meat for her grandkids. 2 guys on a motorcycle roll up, exactly the way she invented 40 years earlier. 2 shots to the head, dead on the sidewalk. The Black Widow finally got the ending she wrote for hundreds of others. The government downplayed her for decades because she exposed the truth. One ruthless woman with a few planes and some ballsy mules turned the entire United States into her playground while the DEA watched helplessly. Number 4, Griselda Blanco, the original Cocaine Godmother who made Miami bleed white. Number 5, Semion Mogilevich, the ghost who owns governments. Number 5, but the most terrifying of them all. Forget the shooters and the smugglers. This one's the puppet master, the man who doesn't fire the gun or packs the coke. He owns the politicians who do it. Semion Mogilevich, the Brainy Don, the boss of bosses. Born 1946 in Kyiv, Ukraine, a scrawny Jewish kid in Soviet shadows who grew up to build a $10 billion crime empire that makes the Italian mafia look like street hustlers. The FBI calls him the most dangerous mobster in the world, not for the body count, but because he's smarter than the spies chasing him. Weapons trafficking, nuclear black market deals, oil scams, global fraud, and enough dirt on presidents, oligarchs, and CEOs to topple governments. He's been erased from the headlines because nailing him down would mean admitting how deep the rut goes. From Moscow to Washington, his strings pulled the powerful. It starts in the 1970s. Soviet underground. Mogilevich, Seba to his crew, runs a scam on desperate Jews fleeing to Israel. They had over It starts in the 1970s. Soviet underground. Mogilevich, Seba to his crew, runs a scam on desperate Jews fleeing to Israel. They hand over jewelry, antiques, family heirlooms for safe transport. He sells it all, pockets the cash, and laughs. By the 1980s, he's the money launderer for the Sotian Bratya, Russia's biggest mob family, washing billions through fake banks and shell companies. Prison twice for currency scams, but he walks out stronger with cops on payroll. The 1990 Soviet collapse, that's his jackpot. Chaos means opportunity. He sets up in Budapest, Hungary, buys factories, churning out anti-aircraft guns, mortar shells, even armored vehicles. But nuclear, that's his crown jewel. FBI reports from 1996 nail him for trafficking enriched uranium, the stuff for bombs, out of scrambling Soviet stockpiles, sold to Iran for ground-to-air missiles. Rumors swirl he hawked it to Al-Qaeda or dumped toxic waste on Chernobyl for quick cash. His network, 250 hardcore operators across 30 countries, from Prague bordels to New York stock floors. Prostitution rings, shipping Eastern European girls to Vegas, heroin from Golden Triangle via a bought-out bankrupt airline, diamonds from African wars, all laundered through banks he owns. The big score, YBN Magnex, 1993 to 1998, a fake magnet company in Pennsylvania listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Mogilevich pumps it with mob cash, hypes it to suckers, defrauds 15,000 investors out of 150 million. FBI raids in 98 exposes it all, but he's already a ghost, sipping tea in Moscow. Indicted in 2003 for RICO, wire fraud, money laundering, added to the FBI 10 most wanted in 2009, right next to bin Laden. $5 million in bounty from the State Department. But Russia, no extradition treaty. He gets pinched in Moscow for tax evasion in 2008, out on bail a year later, untouchable. Why? Connections. Poison FSB defector Alexander Litvinenko spilled in 2006. Mogilevich got a good relationship with Vladimir Putin since the 90s. Campaign headquarters photos don't lie. He's the silent partner in the Rosenergo, the gas giant skimming billions from the Ukraine pipelines, bribing officials on both sides. Ukrainian oligarchs Dmitry Firtash, his frontman, ties to Mikhail Friedman of Alfa Bank, one of Russia's magnificent 7 oligarchs. Even whispers of early Trump Towers deals in the 80s, laundering through real estate. His empire's a hydra, arms to rugged states, fraud crashing stock markets, prostitution funding politicians, The 2011 National Security Council report calls Russian organized crime, his crime, a strategic threat to America worse than the cartels. As of 2025, he's 79, holed up in a Moscow mansion, 3 kids by his Hungarian wife, pockmarked face hidden behind bodyguards, removed from the top 10 in 2015, not caught, just no longer an immediate threat. FBI still hunts, but good luck. Expose him, you expose the spies, the senators, the CEOs who look the other way. He didn't just build a crime ring, he built a shadow government. Number 5, Semion Mogilevich, the ghost who doesn't hide. He owns the hunters.